In case you don't know, Hannah just shot a middle finger at me and my good friend Kent Brown, who they call him the mayor of the Delta, but you're really the governor of the whole West Coast.
The West James Overstreet called me the mayor because I was running a camera boat for him, and everybody kept saying hi and waving. You'd wave when you'd go by in the Delta, so Overstreet called me the mayor of the Delta, and it stuck. And if James Overstreet gives you any title, you keep it.
He called me the cookie stealing son of a bitch. That was my title.
That sounds like J.O. Yeah, that sounds like J.O.
So I want to know, how many jobs do you have?
Well, a couple. Obviously, I'm in my 20th year producing the Ultimate Bass Radio Show, but my real job is actually the Western Regional Sales Manager for White River Marine. So I do all the White River brands in California, Oregon, and Washington. So I get to cover 3 great states.
Okay. Give me your favorite fishery in the West outside of California.
My favorite fishery in the West outside of California is probably Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. I got an opportunity to go up there a couple years ago and film a Strike King Pro Team Journal with Shaw and Doug Miner, and I fell in love with the place. I haven't got to get back, but it was so beautiful. It's such an awesome fishery. It has lily pads. We don't have those in California. So it's the coolest place I've ever been to. I want to go back.
What's your favorite? If you have one fishery the rest of your life in California, what is it?
Well, I told my daughter I wanted my ashes spread at Clear Lake. So we're talking like for the rest of my life and beyond.
And beyond.
It's Clear Lake.
What if you couldn't have Clear Lake or the Delta? What's one body of water?
Lake Shasta. My favorite, one of my favorite reservoirs up there, just because it is so beautiful. And I know you haven't been there, but we're talking about going. Making a tour. We're going to make that tour of California, and at least take Hannah. But Lake Shasta is so beautiful, and you have the eagles, and you have now they've been planting kokanee salmon in the lake. And mark my word, you will be writing about a world champion spot or world record spotted bass at Lake Shasta.
Give me a glide bait that you like for Shasta, or a swim bait.
You know what? Swim bait wise, I still kind of stick to that old Huddleston. If I'm going to throw one. Been playing around with some of the Strike King stuff now, but it's really hard to beat an old Rate of Fall 12 Huddleston rainbow trout. It's just a go-to swim bait for me.
You mentioned your daughter, obviously an incredible vocalist. For
Yeah.
those of you who don't watch The Voice, I only watched it because your daughter was on it.
And she told me that at least half of her fan base is holding a fish. So we got a good cover. Yeah, my daughter Kristen.
So she was one of the fan favorites. What's your favorite thing that she sings?
Well, through all the years of her hearing about me fishing Lake Shasta with Merle Haggard, and did quite a bit of that in the 90s, and hung out with Merle a little bit, and had several dinners on his houseboat, the Hotel Troubadour, and it was pretty cool. Pete, they'd move the coffee table and they'd lift the door up, and he had a bet with Bobby Garland that Bobby couldn't catch one under his houseboat. Bobby did, as usual, but he pulled the door up and you could fish in the living room sitting on the couch. And so I told her all these stories, and one night she said, "Does the boat have a name?" And I said, "Yeah, it's called the Hotel Troubadour." And it was a neon sign in the front window of the boat, and it was a double-decker, too big to even be on the Forest Service lake. And she goes, "Man, that's got to be a song." 45 minutes later, between my house and her house, she called me and said, "I just sent you a song, and it's called Hotel Troubadour." And she really wrote it. It's kind of a ghost story, but she wrote it about Merle's boat and Lake Shasta. So it's got cool Northern California roots to it.
Where does she get her good looks and talent from?
Her mother.
Clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But she's not afraid of a microphone, and I am definitely claiming that.
You're a California guy. What's your in and out order?
Double, no onions, no tomatoes, add pickles.
That's a good one. I have to try that.
Right? That's a good one. And there's so many great things to do at In-N-Out. And anytime Shaw Grigsby landed in California, our first stop had to be In-N-Out Burger.
Now, I'm on the board of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. You're on the selection committee. Give me one or two Westerners who you think deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Bobby Garland, Bass and Man Lure Company, Garland Lure Company, invented the Gitsit, he invented the spider jig, he invented the mini jig. He was a Western legend for sure. I definitely think that he deserves that. And I got to tell you, it's hard pressed if you're really talking to Western legends to not pick two guys. Probably Dave Glebe for what he did, in the early days. But more importantly, John Murray, one of the winningest pros from the West, and dominated the West before John came out here and fished Bassmaster, MLF, Bass Pro Tour, Probably really behind Bobby, I think it's Murdog. He did so much, and I think he deserves to be there.
What's amazing to me is how much all the younger Western pros, from Fred Rumbanis to Ish to everyone else, admires him and reveres him.
Because we all stood in the parking lot, Pete, and watched the taillights of 37 prize boats, 3 pickup trucks, and a Rolex, I think, drive out behind John Murray's truck. I mean, we all got our tail kicked by John. We used to buy Ricos out of the back of his van, like illegal substances. Yeah, exactly. And you'd find John and have to buy Ricos out of the back of the van when nobody had them, and they were $20 and he got us to buy $20 baits. So yeah, it's John's legendary. He's when you talk to anybody from the West about John Murray, everybody loves Johnny.
People who don't pick up your radio show through terrestrial radio,
Yeah.
What's the way to listen to you from across the globe?
We are podcasted, as I discovered not too long ago, in about 40 different podcast platforms. The easiest place is Spotify and iTunes. If you own a Apple iPhone, go find that purple microphone that says podcast, tap it, and type in Ultimate Bass Radio, and you get it every week. It comes automatic. You just subscribe, and it's free.
Check him out. Free. Been doing it for years. One of the good guys of the industry, Kent Brown.
Thanks, Pete.